So you want to know if the new Supra is the right car for you? Well, hopefully in this video I can answer your questions, bring some value to you, and help you decide whether this is actually the right car for you. What is happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video with your boy Thick Whips. Today we are talking about my A90 2020 Toyota BMW Supra. I've had this car for about 3 months now and I feel like I have a little bit more experience to talk about whether this is the right car for you. God, this car gets so much attention, good and bad. There are just so many things to talk about when owning this car. Things that some people will absolutely love and things that some people will absolutely despise. I'm gonna grab some coffee real quick. I suggest you do the same. Then we will head to the spot and talk a little bit about this car, what I really think about it after 3 months. When I first bought it, I was all about it. Do I feel the same? Being respectful, valves are closed, coffee acquired. I already had a sip, so it's probably about that time. Sing to me. Sheesh. All right, we gotta chill though. The cops have been out. Cops have been out lately. I don't know what is going on. When I first bought this car, I hadn't driven an automatic car in so long that it was really nice. It was really nice to switch it up and have an automatic vehicle, something that was a little bit easier to drive and didn't take so much attention all the time. And then I started to realize that I love a manual car. It's not that there's anything wrong with the transmission in this car. It's actually, the ZF transmission is a great transmission in this car. Shifts super fast. Feels really good. But I'm just a manual driver. I just really prefer having a manual transmission. Had this car came with a manual transmission, it would have been really close to being my favorite car that I've ever owned. There are speculations and rumors running around that Toyota is going to be introducing a manual version of this car, but as we know, those are just rumors. That would be one thing about this car, you know, where I feel like it falls short. Offer an automatic, but like also offer a manual. Would have been nice to have that option. So with that being said, is this a forever car for me? No, it's not a forever car for me. But then again, no car that I've owned has been a forever car for me. I just like to experience as many different platforms as possible. Maybe I just haven't experienced the right car yet. From a flat out design standpoint, I really do like the way that this car looks in general. The body lines are crazy aggressive. It's really wide. Like if you put it next to any car, it looks really wide. I love how it has a super low profile. With that being said, you're probably gonna scrape a lot if you lower it. I scrape everywhere, but that's just part of having a lowered vehicle. This is probably like the best angle of the car, the rear quarter, and then the back. Those are probably my two favorite angles of the car. I think the side profile is pretty sick on this car as well. I'll be honest, I'm still kind of like warming up to the front end. Something about the front end of this car I just don't absolutely love. I think they look a lot better when they're wide-bodied. It's not that I hate it, it's just that I don't love it. You know what I mean? Like the front is just never really quite hit me as like the sexiest front end out there. Most of the photos that I post of this car are like from the back end and like the side profile. I just think the car looks better in general from those angles. That's just a pure aesthetic standpoint, kind of how I feel about the design of the car. I love the lighting on this car. The front headlights and the rear taillights are absolutely sick. The way that they designed them looks so good. How there's just these really long LEDs in the front headlight. They look so badass. This car with the lighting, hands down, that's like one of my favorite parts about this car is just all of the cool like lighting features on it. As far as technology, I'm pretty used to all the technology. It's all the same stuff that I had in the M2. Apple CarPlay, Bluetooth, wireless charging tray, all that good stuff. It's a BMW. Like the interior is essentially a Z4. The technology is from a Z4. There's no mistaking that this pretty much is a BMW. Obviously Toyota had its part in like refining it and kind of making those final decisions. But at the end of the day, we know that this is a BMW. I don't try and deny it. But this is gonna lead me into my next point with this car, you guys. If you are looking to buy a Supra, the new Supra, you are going to be faced with a lot of criticism when it comes to the car. You're gonna be faced with a lot of attention, whether you like it or not, good and bad. This car gets so much attention. What I mean by that is you have to be very confident in your decision of buying this car. and you have to buy it for you, because you are gonna get a lot of people that just talk shit in general about the car. I obviously sort of lean into that with my BMW center caps, BMW engine cover. For me, it's just a car, and I just kind of have fun with that. Also, the fact that I come from a BMW background, those really aren't like disses to me. When someone tells me nice BMW, I respond, thank you, because I love BMWs. So it's really not that big of a deal to me, but you get a lot of like Toyota fanboys that hate this car with a passion. All the guys who are like really into the MK4 and the heritage of that car, they shit on the MK5s. They are very, very upset that these guys worked with BMW to develop this car. It's a great car. It's an awesome collaboration. I'm glad that they did it personally. I think it's really cool, but you just get a lot of the old school diehards that are not happy about it. So just be prepared to be faced with a lot of criticism, a lot of attention, good and bad. There's a lot of cool conversations and great conversations that I've had based on this car. No matter where I go, Starbucks, gas stations, car meets, it doesn't matter. Someone is always asking me about this car, and I love talking about cars, so for me it's great. But to some people, they wouldn't really want to get into that conversation or be bothered all the time. You also get a lot of people that try to race you. This is like a tuner's car, so you're just gonna get a lot of kids that wanna like come at you with their Mustang 5.0s and their Hellcats and their Honda Civics. Everyone wants to race you in this car, but it's all in good fun. You just kind of have to enjoy it and do your best to not take things so seriously. We're all out here in the car community just having fun and building our cars. Who cares who made the car? It's just fun to build these cars and enjoy this passion and share it with one another. I think people get a little too critical and so judgmental nowadays based on other people's builds. Like just enjoy your shit, man. Have a good time doing what you love. But of course, there's gonna be bad eggs out there that are going to try and bring you down. Just ignore them and do your thing. So from a power perspective and the B58 platform, this is bar none, hands down, my favorite platform that I've worked with. In terms of working on the car and the amount of power that you can make very easily, this B58 is just absolutely incredible. And I also love the fact that you can make a lot of power very easily and you don't sacrifice sound. The B58 sounds really good. As much as I love the S55 and how easily you can make big power on the S55, you're sacrificing some of that power with the sound. And that is something that I just don't absolutely, it's literally the only thing that like holds me back from buying an S55. I think that you can make them sound better, obviously, with, you know, the active auto work mid pipe. But with this car, you are not sacrificing any of the sound, and it makes amazing power so easily. The fact that I only did basically like 3 modifications as far as power is concerned on this car, and that put me at 480 wheel, is absolutely mind-blowing. Definitely a step up from the N55. It's a very, very impressive platform all around when it comes to horsepower and torque and things of that nature. So if you are looking to get into a platform in general, the 340, the M340, the Z4, the B58, and the Supra, they are fantastic platforms. But I will say right away, the B58 and the Supra is a lot different than the B58 in the 340. So you will find a lot of differences when it comes to the B58 that is in the Supra versus the B58 that is in the 340. One noticeable difference is you will see that the manifold, so your exhaust ports go from 6 to 2. Your exhaust manifold is actually only 2 out to the turbo, which is really, really interesting. The other big noticeable difference about the B58 in the Supra is that you have a fuel pump that is pushing out 5,000 PSI, whereas on the normal 340s, the fuel pump that is in those cars is like 2.5, 2.7K PSI. So you're getting a fuel pump right out of the gate that is basically twice the power as the other 340. And that's really why these cars, they make so much power so easily, and they can do so and hold it. If you guys are interested in more technical aspects about this B58 in general, I highly recommend checking out the Papadakis race series about this car, where he pulls it apart and he literally dissects the engine and talks about it. It's a fantastic series, and I learned so much about that car. Another great source for this car, you guys, I'll leave both of these links down below, is a video that was done talking about the differences between the Z4 and this car and why Toyota made this collaboration with BMW. It's a very interesting video. Just take a few minutes out of your day and watch watch those videos. They're super educational. And if you're into BMWs or you're into B58s or you're into these cars at all, I highly recommend checking them out. Now, as much as I do really like this car, from a power standpoint, like suspension, everything, it feels really good. There are obviously a lot of drawbacks, just like any car ownership. In my opinion, I don't think any car is like perfect. Every car is going to have its flaws. It's just how many flaws are you willing to live with or sacrifice in order to pay for to own that car. One just being some things like the steering wheel, stuff like that. I think the steering wheel is incredibly corny in this car. I'm kind of shocked that they put that kind of steering wheel in like a sports car or like a tuner car. I'm just gonna have to assume that like Toyota knew that everyone would be changing that out, because the steering wheel in this car is absolute garbage. Like, it's like something you would find on like a Camry or a Corolla for that matter. Really thin. My opinion, I really don't like the two-tone. Even though this is a launch edition, I love the red interior. I hate the two-tone steering wheel. I personally have ordered a custom steering wheel from Aza Auto Wheel. They're in the middle of building it right now, but that will be here soon, I promise. Another thing that we can talk about is the sound system. It's absolutely garbage in this car. Terrible sound system. BAV Sound makes an upgrade for it. I might be working with them. We're in talks right now of doing something. A lot of people talk about the bump steer in this car. I personally have not experienced that. I also have not tracked this car. I'm currently running the KW V3 Coilovers on this car, and I think they're amazing. I have talked to people who do track these cars regularly, and they say the bump steer is kind of blown out of proportion, which doesn't surprise me. A lot of people blow shit out of proportion on these cars, especially BMWs in general. Like I said before, I don't think this is gonna be like a forever car, but you have to understand, like, I don't really keep any cars forever. I kind of just like go through these cars. I wish I could personally keep these cars forever, but I can't. I don't make that kind of money. I don't have that kind of space. Maybe someday in the future, I'll be like TJ Hunt and I can have 5 builds going at once. But right now we're in the building phase, we're in that grinding phase. So we're just kind of making the content that we can in these cars, building them up and just having fun. That's what it's all about, just enjoying the build process and sharing it with you guys. So other things to talk about real quick. A lot of people, you know, they shit on like the fake vent things. You know, you can like change them out to be real vents or whatever. It honestly doesn't bother me. I could care less that they're fake or real vents. I think even if they were real vents, they wouldn't necessarily be game changers. Maybe if you are like only tracking this car or building a race car, but then at that point, those people are probably gonna cut those out anyways and make them fully functional with like air ducts and all that. But in my opinion, you know, from a consumer standpoint, like you're just your everyday guy who's just driving these cars, who cares if they're real vents or not? Really doesn't matter. I think that's just like another thing that fanboys want to shit on this car for. It's just like another thing that they can bring up and talk shit about. As far as like the launch edition is concerned, I really like the all black, obviously like murdered out car. This is my first time with you guys doing an all black vehicle. I've owned multiple in the past, but I'm a big fan of black cars. You just have to really make sure that you maintain the paint. It all starts with, you know, getting your first cut and polish done and then protecting it with a nice PPF and then a ceramic coating, which is really what I do with all my cars. But once you get past that point, it looks great. I mean, this car is phenomenal. It looks really good in all black. I'll be honest with you guys, I don't really love the other colors of this car. I just think the body lines are kind of weird up front on all the other cars. It makes it look even longer, and that is why I went with black. I felt like it had the cleanest look on this car. The other thing that I want to talk about are the brakes. The brakes are garbage on this car. Well, I shouldn't say they're garbage. They're just not great. I am definitely going to be doing a big brake kit with Keys Motorsports. We're going to be collaborating on one. The M2 had better brakes than this car. I think that, you know, Toyota and BMW should have definitely stepped their game up when it came to the braking. The engine in this car is amazing, and if you're going to go fast, you're going to need to stop hard. These brakes don't do it for you. So they're really spongy. I feel like if I even were to like go to the mountains or like canyons or whatever and take this thing out, I'd have brake fade almost immediately. They're just really not great brakes at all. Roll it around to the back. Love it, man. Like I said before, really everything on this car as far as styling is just sick. This car just looks absolutely mental. People don't even know what they're looking at when they see it on the freeway. They think it's a supercar. They're blown away when I tell them it's a $50,000 car. They think it's like a $100,000 car. It just has a really cool presence to it. It's such a sick car to own. As far as stuff that we've done to mine, it has the intake, charge pipe. Both of those, I don't really think that those add any power. This just kind of looks cool, and then the charge pipe is like preventative maintenance, I guess. Apparently the stock one's fine. You don't really need to do anything with it. Of course, I have the Z4 engine cover, dude. Yeah, it's like 30-50 horsepower right there. And then the Blitz strut tower bar. I really like that one. I think it's the dopest one out there. They do make a carbon fiber radiator cover, I guess is what it's called. I might get that in the future. Got a couple other little things I'm gonna do, but right now I'm really focusing on performance and shit. I don't really care about any of the aesthetic stuff right now. So obviously we have the Valvetronic catless downpipe and then the full Valvetronic exhaust, which is freaking gold, dude. It's absolutely mental. It's just the sickest exhaust I've ever owned. Sounds amazing, looks incredible. Yeah, really happy with that. Everything else is pretty much stock. I've got it tinted, it's 20% all around, which is really what I do with every car. I didn't tint the windshield on this one. Try to do something a little bit different. There's not really a whole lot of visibility in that car. That is one thing that I'll talk about. The visibility in this car is really bad. You have the windshield, which is just really small in general, and then all back here, you can't see anything back here. The visibility in this car is very bad. But that is, you know, it's something you gotta get used to with a small car. It's just something you have to deal with. The wind buffeting, you know, that's a big thing that a lot of people talk about. It is actually a problem in this car. It's a big problem. It's super annoying. I mean, probably one of the first things that you should tackle when you get this car. I put these on. These are actually door guards, but they work as an anti-wind buffeter, and these were $8.99 on Amazon. Or you can be one of the suckers and pay $150, $200, whatever they charge for those little triangles that do the exact same thing. It's the most ridiculous thing. I can't believe people spend $150 on a little triangle that does wind, but like that blows my mind. I don't understand that. But hey, you guys modify your car however you want. That's entirely up to you. All right, so other things with this car, yeah, like I was saying, man, I really like the interior. Like the interior on this car is just absolutely sick. And then you're like, what? This is like the most Dumbo steering wheel. Honestly, the steering wheel design isn't terrible. If it was a little bit thicker and then it was all black and the airbag wasn't so big, it would look a lot better. For me personally, this airbag is just like the chunkiest monkey ever. I would like to be able to put the Z4 steering wheel on here and find a way to code that in. That is something that I might do in the future after the custom wheel. Big problem that people talk about is the trunk. If you hit open, it's open right now. I just hit the button and then you close the door. The vibration from that lifts the trunk up and it comes back down and locks it. So you can't open it. Huge problem that a lot of people complain about. There is a fix to it. I haven't done it yet, but I will eventually do it. And I'll show you what that is. If you go to the trunk, you have these guys. You just unscrew these and lift them up a little bit, and that's supposed to make a big difference. That's really supposed to help so the trunk doesn't lock every time you shut a door and it vibrates, shakes the vehicle. Trunk space is actually really good in this car. This whole piece comes off. I fit my entire Valvetronic exhaust in this car. Obviously it was in pieces, but you can fit a lot in here. The trunk space is amazing. It's pretty incredible how much room they could actually slam into this car. Sub boxes back here, these subs are just like worthless. I'm gonna replace those probably with the BAV sounds. This bar back here is absolutely worthless, and I'll explain why. So I did a little research on that bar that goes right behind your headrest, and it's actually connected to these two little L brackets. They're like flimsy. They don't do anything. That bar doesn't do shit. So what you want to do is you want to upgrade to the Cusco like harness bar, which is like a circle. And that does a few things. That gives you a little more room to put the seat back, because for one, that bar that's in there, it's so thick that it pushes the seat from going all the way back. So you're kind of limited. I'm a tall dude. I like my seat to be really far back. So that's one thing. And then also you upgrade to that Cusco bar because it has another mounting point. It doesn't only go to that little L-shaped flimsy ass bracket that's useless. It also goes to the frame. So there are multiple reasons that you want to upgrade that bar. The one that's in there, useless, pointless, totally just for aesthetic. You guys saw my exhaust install video. There's also that brace underneath that goes like right underneath the mid pipes on this car. Also aluminum, basically just like cardboard, flimsy as shit. No structural rigidity to it. You can also replace that with the Cusco one, and I'll probably do that as well. I will say the nice thing about this car is it doesn't take much to make it look really good. You know, like all I did was drop the car and put two little carbon pieces on it. I'll do a front lip and some other things in the future, but I didn't do anything to it. I just dropped it and like murdered it out, and it looks amazing. Like if you're someone who just wants to get into a car that looks badass just straight from the get-go, this is certainly that car. Like it's very, very simple to make this car look really good because they did a good job from factory. But yeah, overall, very dope car. Is it worth $50K? If you're cool with the automatic transmission, which I know a lot of people are, this car is certainly worth $50K. The engine, the tuning capabilities, just the overall way that it drives and the reactions, like the curb appeal of it, I think it's worth $50K. I think we're gonna start seeing these dip down in the near future to the 40s, maybe even 30s in a couple of years, which is gonna be an absolute bargain for this car. For me personally, it's more about the way that it looks, the way that it handles, and the engine and the tuning capabilities. These guys nailed it with this car. They did a great job on the new Supra. For me, mostly, it's the platform, the B58 platform in this car specifically is just, it's incredible. Like, I'm new to the B58. So this is something that I hadn't really experienced before, and I have fallen in love with the B58. And like a dream build of mine would be taking like an E30 platform and transplanting the B58 from the Supra into that E30. That would be like a dream build of mine. I want to do some like Frankenstein style shit like that down the road. But as far as this car is concerned, just buying it, if you're just interested in buying a Supra, if it's the right car for you, it's a really, really great car. I would say that if you're bigger than 6'2" or bigger than 200 some pounds, you're not going to enjoy this car. It's going to be too tight for you. It's very small in that cockpit. Kind of a bitch getting in and out of it, but overall this car is absolutely sick. The amount of attention that it gets, the tuning capabilities of it, the way that it's styled, the B58 platform in it, you get a lot of good stuff from the factory in this car. You know, there were some things with the M2 that I didn't like either. I didn't really like the interior on the M2. The F-Series in general just felt super outdated. Granted, like my M2 was a 2017 and this is a 2020. The F-Series just felt super outdated. In the new M340s, I will say I like those interiors. Those are really, really sexy, modern, tech-savvy interiors. Kind of like how this felt a little bit with the new Z4 interior. Anyways, if you guys are in the market for a Supra, I say go for it, but just drive one, make sure it's right for you, make sure that you can comfortably get in and out of it, that the blind spots and the small cockpit doesn't bother you over time. From a styling standpoint, the power and the suspension, it's a great car, man. It's absolutely sick. Does everything I need it to do as far as technology. If you are someone who loves to go to car shows and talk about cars, this is also a great car for you. It's gonna get you into a lot of conversations about vehicles and cars in general. If you are someone that is maybe sensitive about criticism with your car, it might not be the best car for you. You're gonna get a lot of nice BMW, nice C4. Is that a Supra? You know how it goes, man. You're gonna get a lot of that. But as long as you're okay with that, those kind of comments won't bother you too much. At the end of the day, it is a BMW, right? Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please do subscribe, comment down below, like this video, hit that bell notification. Just like that, this video is over, and we're out. Doing a service, pull up to the crib, I'm equipped with the brush strokes. Cutthroat from the low, where no love goes. Women buddy like it's been that. When fuck me looking at the bill stack. Off the bubbly buddy, I've been stressed out. Let the smoke scream from my chest out. Niggas laced up, I really hate love from a stranger. Shit is fake stuff, only need it from you. Yeah, crash land in the palm of my hand. Bad little flex, wanna play by the coast. Carry the torch, I'm way up, it's litty wherever we float. I came from the cold, used to rest on the floor. I stitch up my wounds, was born a soldier.